Welcome to the Meditation Realm Planeswalkers. I'm Caleb, your guide through the Blind Eternities, and in today's video, we're going through the Warhammer 40k Collector's Edition Forces of the Imperium Commander deck. These commander decks have been beautiful looking. The new cards look amazing. The new art on the old cards look amazing. The surge foiling looks great. The only downside is there is a little bit of that pringling, but it's easy to fix with some double sleeving in the book. Great product. I definitely think if you can get a hold of it, you should, because it's going to be hard to get any of these reprints. Again, it comes with the nice tokens and punch-outs if you enjoy using those types of things. It's got the life counter as well. I'm going to go ahead and just get to the commander deck. I'm really hoping that these types of decks, with how many new cards we got in them and the general overall quality of the deck, Wizard starts doing this more often with every one of their decks. So the main face of this deck is Inquisitor Gravefax, 3/3 for 1, a white, a blue, and a black. It's a legendary creature, Human Inquisitor. Vigilance. Other creatures you control get +1/+0 and have Vigilance. And you can pay 1, tap it, tap target creature and opponent controls, and then investigate. So keep your opponent's stuff locked down. And this is the other face of the deck, and my personal choice if I was to play this guy as a commander. Marneus Caligar, legendary creature, 3/5 for 2 white, a blue, and a black. He has double strike, and whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. And then for 6, you can create 2/2 white Astartes warrior creature tokens with Vigilance. So this guy is just so strong. The fact that it's off of any token means when you're smothering tithe during your opponent's turns, you're gonna get a token, you're gonna draw a card off each of those treasures that they're not gonna pay for, which is gonna entice them to want to pay for it, because are they gonna give you a treasure and a card by not paying 2? It definitely forces some different lines of play on your opponents, and the fact that it feeds its own draw ability with its 6 mana effect is just so strong. It feeds itself. It's got its card advantage, it's aggressive with double strike, does everything you want in a commander. Pretty good. Aggressive, card advantage, board advantage. And they shall know fear. New card. Choose a creature type, instant, 1 and a white. Creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. This is another one of those really strong new cards that are going to see play in a lot of tribal decks. Being able, cheap indestructibility for your entire board, being able to counter a board wipe, and then you also buff your board. Pretty good. Also a nice combat trick when they've blocked everything. Grey Knight Paragon. We have a 4/4, 4 and a white, Astartes Knight with Flash. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target attacking creature. If that creature is a demon, exile it instead. Nice. So kind of the antithesis to the demon deck, being able to exile demons, and just the fact that it comes in and destroys a creature is pretty decent. Oof, it does cost 5. We have Space Marine Scout. It's a 2/1 for 2 and a white with first strike and vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you may search your library for a plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Okay, this guy's not bad. He's semi-aggressive with first strike and vigilance for 3, and if somebody's ahead of you, which is quite often in non-green ramp decks, you can search for a plains, put it into play. And it's not just a basic plane, so you can get a lot of the duels and build up with them into play too. That's actually really good. Thunderwolf Cavalry. We have a 4/4 for 4 and a white, first strike. When it deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control. Not bad, especially because he has first strike, so you can hit a player, buff all your other creatures, and then they deal damage. Sicarian Infiltrator, a 1/2 for 2 and a blue with Flash. It has Squad 2. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may pay 2 any number of times. When this creature enters the battlefield, create that many tokens that are copies of it. And it has, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Oh, this guy's really good. That squad ability is really strong. So you can just late game, pay 5 or 7 mana, make 1 or 2 copies of this guy, and then you're gonna have 1 or 2 copies, and then draw additional cards. Paying 2 mana to get a 1/2 and draw cards, about more on average what you would pay for this type of effect. But the fact that you can do it on flash, it's an artifact creature, I like it. I like that squad ability. Sanguinary Priest. Now this is a guy that's going to see a lot of play in decks. It's a 2/4 Astartes Cleric for 3 and a black. It has lifelink, and whenever another another creature you control dies, Sanguinary Priest deals 1 damage to any target. So it's a Blood Artist similar effect, but that you target opponent or any target, which is really strong. It has lifelink, and it's a cleric, and there's a lot of synergies with clerics. Really strong. It's going to see a lot of play. Deny the Witch. It's an instant for 1, a white, a blue, and a black. Instant counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Its controller loses life equal to the number of creatures you control. Nice. So you have a strong counter effect that can also dome the opponent, depending on if you have a large amount of creatures. Primaris Chaplain. We have a 3/3 for 2, a white, and a black. Astartes Cleric with Battle Cry, and whenever it attacks, it gains indestructible until end of turn. Not bad. Keeps your stuff aggressive. Swords to Plowshares. Good reprint. Always a good commander staple in white. Beautiful new art. Reconnaissance Mission. Good commander card. Good blue enchantment. Mortify. Always a strong removal. Mind Stone. Oh, that's such beautiful new art, especially with that surge foiling. Just amazing. Skull Clamp. Always a good card to see reprinted, and man, that has got to be the most badass art for Skull Clamp there has been. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, or what your opinion is, but oh man, I think that's got to be the best Skull Clamp that there's been printed. Soul Ring, another beautiful new art Soul Ring. Again, just the detail and the new style. I wish they would do new art Soul Rings for more commander decks instead of just using the same one over and over again. I know it's kept the same look for a while, but it's not bad for a change up. We have the Talisman of Dominance, the Talisman of Hierarchy, and the Talisman of Progress. All the new art. Again, with that surge foiling, just so pretty. Oh, the Arcane Sanctum, again. The way that surge foiling shines, that light coming off on the crowd here. Oh, just so pretty. And in person, it looks even better than it does on camera. I hope you guys have been able to get these. Let me know in the comments what's been your favorite card. We got Ash Barrens, Memorial to Glory, Arcane Signet, another beautiful new art, Commander Sphere. Oh man, that might be the best new looking Commander Sphere. Command Tower. Again, oh, there's so many great new artworks. Dismal Backwater, Evolving Wilds, Path of Ancestry, Scoured Barrens, Terramorphic Expanse, Celestine, the Living Saint, 3/4 Human Warrior Legendary Creature for 4 and a white. It has flying and lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. This creature is going to be so strong, it just goes into so many life gain strategy decks very easily. The fact that it's got lifelink itself means it's pretty easy just to swing by itself, hit somebody, gain 3 life, return a creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to play. This guy's going to see a lot of play. How much it sees play as a commander, we'll see, but definitely in the 99. Defenders of Humanity. It's an enchantment that costs X, 2 and a white. It enters the battlefield, create X 2/2 white Astartes warrior creature tokens with vigilance. You can pay X, a 2 and a white, and exile it. Create X 2/2 white warrior Astartes creature tokens with vigilance. Activate only if you control no creatures and only during your turn. Okay, so it's a late game. You can play it, you get a bunch of tokens, and then when those guys die, you can exile this enchantment and make a bunch more when you're empty on board. So this is something to help you keep board presence. I wouldn't necessarily say it's that strong, because you got to spend a lot of mana into X, and paying 3 mana into X and getting 2/2s with vigilance is a pretty standard effect at this point. For the Emperor, we have a sorcery for 3 and a white. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance and lifelink until end of turn. That's pretty good. It's definitely one of the better board buff effects for white at its cost for sure. So we have Space Marine Devastator, a 3/3 for 3 and a white with Squad 2. When it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Ooh, now this guy is really good. So this is one that's going to see more late game play, because for 4 mana you just get a regular 3/3 for 4 that comes in and destroys an artifact or enchantment. Not the biggest blow. But that Squad 2 making more 3/3s that come into play and destroy an artifact or enchantment. So spending 6 or 8 mana, getting 2 or 3 3/3s, and you're going to blow up 2 or 3 artifacts or enchantments. This is one I could definitely see seeing a lot more play in Commander decks in the 99. Triumph of St. Catherine, the 5/5 creature for 4 and a white with lifelink. It's a human warrior. When Triumph of St. Catherine dies, exile it and the top 6 cards to your library in a face-down pile. If you do, shuffle that pile and put it back on top of your library. And it has Miracle for 1 and a white. Oh, wow, so this guy's really strong. It just keeps going back into your library. You can cheat it out for cheap when you draw it. I mean, getting a 5/5 lifelink for 2 is very strong, so they have to exile it to really get rid of it, and they know at some point in the top 7 it's just going to come back. Wow, I really like that. That's very strong. That's just very strong. Ultramarines Honor Guard. We have a 2/2 Astartes Warrior for 3 and a white with Squad 2, and then other creatures you control get +1/+1. So here's another late game lord that'll just blow out the board, where you can pay 6 or 8 mana into this, get 2 or 3 lords out, and just buff your team by +2 or 3, and have more bodies. Squad's just really strong. Here's one that's going to see a lot of Commander play. 3/4 a Custodes Warrior for 3 and a white. It has Flash, it has Vigilance, and commanders you control have protection from everything. So it's not very good in the Tron deck because it's kind of a nombo, but if you're not playing Tron, you can just flash this in after your opponent's blocked your commander. Your commander is definitely going to live, or you can play it in before blockers, make sure they can't block it, and just kill off an opponent. This is going to see a lot of play. It's really strong, good stats for its cost, very good. And then we have Zephyrim, human warrior creature, 3/3 for 3 and a white. It has Squad 2. It has Flying and Vigilance, and it has Miracle for 1 and a white. So this is really strong, actually, because especially with that Miracle effect, if you just get this on turn 4, so you get the Miracle and you pay the Squad, so for 4 mana you're going to get 2 3/3 Flying Vigilance, and then if you pay 6 you get 3. I mean, that's really strong. The Squad 2 mechanic is really, really powerful. I hope they can translate that into a future Magic mechanic. And the fact that this creature miracles itself into play too is pretty sweet to be able to squad in. Although it's so meh with being able to squad, but still pretty good. We have a Sister of Silence, a 3/3 human knight for 4 and a blue. It has Flash. When it enters the battlefield, counter target instant spell, sorcery spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Wow, that's a really strong creature. I can definitely see this being abused in Flicker decks as well. So we got a 3/2 Astartes Warrior for 3 and a blue. This also has Squad 2. It has Flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Yeah, that's really strong. I mean, just spending 6 mana, you get 2 3/2 flyers that each give you more card advantage. again, the squad effect is really strong, especially if it's a token synergy, so it's a lot of ways to make multiple token copies. I definitely see these squad cards seeing a lot of play. Speaking of another squad card, we have a 3/1 for 2 and a black human with squad 2. It can't block, and you can pay 3 life, and it gains indestructible until end of turn. So, yeah, that's definitely very aggressive. Pay 5, 7 mana, get 2 or 3, 3/1s, and I mean, yes, you have to pay 3 life to make them indestructible if they do decide to block, but if they're just trading creatures and you're paying 3 life to trade out a creature, it's pretty easy to do in the mid-game. We have Primaris Eliminator. It's a 3/2 for 4 and a black, a Astartes Warrior. Enters the battlefield, choose 1. You can either destroy target creature, or creatures target player controls get -2/-2 until end of turn. Yeah, it's not bad. 5 mana, destroy a creature, or wipe a tiny board. Next, we have Assault Intercessor. This is another guy that's going to see a lot of play in different decks. 3/2 Astartes Warrior for 1, a white and a black. It has First Strike and Menace. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. So it just punishes decks that go wide because you're going to blow the board and dome them for a lot. We have Belerius Call, legendary artifact creature. It's a human, 2/4 for 2, a white and a blue. It has tap it, tap 2 untapped artifacts you control. You create a 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature token with Vigilance. And tap it and tap X untapped creatures you control. Look at the top X card to your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So, yeah, it's a blue-white artifact creature that can create more tokens and help you get some card advantage. He's not bad. Don't know if I'd play him as a commander, but not bad. And here's our Saga for 2, a white, a blue, and a black. The first chapter is create a 2/2 white warrior Astartes creature token with Vigilance for each opponent you have. So for 5 mana, you're generally going to get 3 2/2 or white Vigilant tokens. And then the next step is each opponent sacrifices a creature. And then the final chapter is draw 2 cards for each opponent who controls fewer creatures than you. So there's a chance you might not draw any cards if they can replenish their boards before it gets back to your next turn, but still, make 3 tokens, make your opponent sacrifice a creature, draw, hopefully 2 to 6 cards. Not bad for 5 mana. Especially if you draw 6. Callidius Assassin, we have a 3/3 human shapeshifter assassin, surprise, for 4 blue and a black. It has flash. You may have it enter the battlefield tapped as a copy of any creature an opponent controls. Or, for me, you may have it enter the battlefield tapped as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has, when this creature enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 other target creature with the same name as this creature. So if your opponent's coming in and attacking you with a creature, you can flash this guy in, have it come into play as a copy of that creature, and just destroy that creature. That's pretty strong. Being able to come in as a copy of a big creature with an ETB effect, and then destroy that opponent's creature that's attacking you with it, I can definitely see this seeing a lot of play. And the fact that it's a blue-black assassin, for sure. Here's another guy I've seen being discussed about seeing his play, especially if we're just being in the commander. Commissar Severina Rain. Commissar Severina Rain. 2/2, 1 a white and a black. Legendary creature, human soldier. Whenever Commissar Severina attacks, each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. And you can pay 2, sacrifice another creature, you gain 2 life and draw a card. Not bad, definitely very aggressive if you're going wide with tokens. And white-black does that for sure. Company Commander, human soldier, 2/4 for 2 a white and a black. When it enters the battlefield, create a number of 1/1 white soldier or creature tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. And whenever Company Commander attacks, creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. Nice, so he definitely makes it hard to block. Cybernetica Data Smith, 0/1 artifact creature, human artificer for 1 a blue and a black. It has protection from robots, and you can pay a blue and tap it. Target player draws a card. Another target player creates a 4/4 colorless robot artifact creature token with this creature can't block. Okay, so basically you could draw a card and give your opponent a 4/4 robot so that they can maybe attack somebody else because you'll just chump one of them, but maybe it's just best to let somebody else draw a card and you create 4/4 robots for 1 blue. I don't know. Depends on what mode you're in your commander game state. Epistolary Librarian, Astartes Wizard for 2 a white and a blue. It's a 3/4. When it attacks, you may cast a spell with mana value X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. X is the number of attacking creatures. That's pretty strong. It's just being able to allow you to cheat stuff out. If only this was legendary. Exterminatus. We have a sorcery for 5 a white and a black. Non-land permanents your opponent's control lose indestructible until the end of turn, and then you destroy all non-land permanents. So this says screw your gods and your Avacyn and anything that makes your board indestructible. It's all going to die. Even if they try to respond and give their permanents indestructible, it's just going to lose indestructible. So yeah, that's a good board wipe. A little expensive, but pretty strong. And the fact that it only hits your opponent's stuff losing indestructible is even better because your gods and indestructible permanents will still stay on board. We have an enchantment for 2 a white, a blue, and a black. The flesh is weak. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Creatures you control with a 1/1 counter on them are artifacts in addition to their other types. Non-artifact creatures get -1, -1. So this is supposed to be like if the black guys take control of the bodies? Necrons? I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of non-artifact creatures in your deck. But hey, interesting. I could definitely see that being synergistic with certain decks. Inquisitor Eisenhorn. We have a 2/3 for 2 a blue and a black. Legendary creature, Human Inquisitor. You may reveal the first card you draw each turn as you draw it. Whenever you reveal an instant or sorcery card this way, create Shurabel, a legendary 4/4 black demon creature token with flying. Whenever Inquisitor Eisenhorn deals combat damage to a player, investigate that many times. Okay, so you can make some, basically just makes tokens. I guess, well, the fact that you're making legendary token means you're not going to make very many, but I guess I could synergize a drawing during your opponent's turns, creating a legendary creature that's going to die, and then maybe that has some sort of effect that you have on board. You could see some play. I don't know if he'll be in the 99 or as a commander, but he's not bad. Niam, Shaimarad. We have a 3/3 legendary creature, Human Rogue, for 2 a white and a black. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may have that player return target permanent card from their graveyard to their hand. If you do, that player chooses a permanent card in your graveyard, and then you put it into the battlefield under your control. So that's pretty sweet. You could, it's definitely a black-white reanimator deck where you can put big stuff into play by giving your opponent small stuff back. You know, there's a lot of fetch land, so you can have an opponent return a fetch land to their hand, and then you're going to cheat out a 8-drop creature. Seems like it could be strong. Sister Hospitaller. We have a 3/2 for 4 white and a black as a human cleric. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature card in your graveyard to the battlefield. You gain life equal to its mana value. Nice. That's really strong, especially if you reanimate her, and then you reanimate a bigger creature. So you play reanimate, you spend 1 mana, lose 6 life, reanimate her, get a 7 or 8 drop, gain 7 or 8 life, so you net life, and you got 2 bodies on board. Well, that sounds like a win to me. So we have Sister Repentia. It's a human warrior for 3 a white and a black. When it dies, you gain 2 life and you draw 2 cards, and it has Miracle for white and a black. So you can cheat it out to play cheap, and it's just draw 2 cards when it gains you some life. Not bad. I like that they put Miracle on a bunch of creatures. It's a miracle that these guys are going to come in and save you. Now here's one of the cards that's seeing a lot of speculations, hyped up, very expensive, but it's super strong, so I can understand. You have a 4-drop legendary artifact that has, if you would lose the game, instead exile the Golden Throne, and your life total becomes 1. So your opponents cannot even kill you immediately without either blowing this up or just taking the bullet, quote unquote, kill you, get rid of this, and then do another 1 point of damage to you to kill you. And then you can tap it, sacrifice a creature, add 3 mana in any combination of colors. So for a 4-drop artifact, you get a mana ramp effect that's, granted you have to sacrifice a creature, but there's a lot of decks that is totally fine with sacrificing creatures to add mana. You get a cheaper Gilded Lotus that makes you harder to die. Like, this is just such a powerful effect. I can't even properly state how powerful this is. You're just going to have to play with it. Add 3 mana in any combinations of colors means any deck can do it. I have an Esper deck that this is going right into that focuses on Blood Artist types effects. I'm just going to sacrifice a creature, add 3 mana, dome the opponents. They're going to have a hard time killing me. This is going to do work. If you can get one, I definitely recommend you do. We have the Inquisitorial Rosette. We have an equipment that costs 2. Whenever an equipped creature attacks, create a 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature token with Vigilance that's attacking. Then, attacking creatures gain Menace until end of turn, and it only costs 3 to equip. That's not bad. Helps you fill up the board, puts in creatures, and makes them evasive. I really like that. We have a Knight Paladin. It's a vehicle with Trample. It's a 5-drop, 6/6. When Knight Paladin enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to each opponent. And it only costs 1 to crew. Okay. So it's kind of big. It's got Trample. It comes into play, deals damage to each opponent. So I can see some flicker effects where this will deal more damage to the opponents. Definitely aggressive, being it's only crew 1, so you can crew a tiny creature, have a 6/6 Trample go in. I definitely can see it play. Our next vehicle is the Reaver Titan. 7-drop with 10/10. It has protection from mana value 3 or less, so you're not going to Swords to Plowshares this guy. Whenever it attacks, it deals 5 damage to each opponent, and it has crew 4. Nice. So this is a big vehicle that's hard to deal with. You got to have a big removal to deal with it, and 10/10 means it's going to be hard to block unless you got Death Touch. And even if you do, once it attacks, it's going to deal 5 damage to each opponent. I can definitely see this seeing some play. Might be better in some decks that can cheat it out because it costs 7, but still a big, powerful vehicle. And now we have an artifact creature, the Redemptor Dreadnought, for 5. It's a 4/4. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. It has Trample, and when it attacks, if a card is exiled with it, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the power of the exiled card. Nice, you can have this come into play, exile a big creature or a big card in your yard, and then it can attack, and then get a large buff. So you can exile, let's say a 5 CMC creature, or a 5 power creature from the yard, and then this is going to attack and be a 9/9 Trampler for 5. Or maybe bigger with some of those other things. Definitely can see this guy being fun to play with and being huge. We have a Thunderhawk Gunship, another vehicle, 6-drop flying, 6/6. When it enters a battlefield, create 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature tokens with Vigilance. And whenever it attacks, attacking creatures you control gain flying until end of turn, and it only crews for 2. So you get 2 bodies that can crew it, so it can attack and give your other guys flying, so they're hard to hit. It does put pretty good board advantage type effect. You're not going to get more tokens when it attacks, but I can definitely see this being seen in some play. Vehicle decks can make use of it. We have a Bastion Protector. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2 and have Indestructible. A 3/3 for 2 and a white. Definitely a good old powerhouse. That's definitely going to see a lot of play. Collective Effort. We have a sorcery for 1, a white. It has Escalate. Tap an untapped creature you control. Choose 1, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Destroy target enchantment, put 1/1 counter on each creature target player controls. So, tap all your tokens, do a bunch of effects. We have Deploy to the Front, a sorcery for 5 and 2 white. Create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. So you're definitely just going to either match or be ahead of every opponent. Because if you have none and your opponents each have 5, you all of a sudden have 15 1/1 white soldier tokens. And if you have 5 creatures on board, you have 20 tokens that you're getting. So you're going to have 25 creatures in comparison to everybody else's 5. Definitely a great way to get ahead. Or catch up. Even if they're just 1/1s. It's a little expensive at 7 mana, I will say that. Entrapment Maneuver. It's an instant for 3 and a white. Target player sacrifices an attacking creature. You create X 1/1 white soldier creature token to access that creature's toughness. Yeah, that's a good way to be able to just blow up a creature and then have a bunch of token blockers if they're coming at you with, like, say, a bunch of non-trampling 5/5s. Have them sacrifice one of them, get 5 1/1 blockers to be able to block the other guys. Now we're getting to our reprints. Feld the Mighty. Hour of Reckoning. I like that art. Launch the Fleet. Martial Coup. Utter End. Oh, again, that Surge Point just makes these cards look so pretty. Everflowing Chalice. So many beautiful new arts. Choked Estuary. Dark Water Catacombs. Exotic Orchard. Port Town. Prairie Stream. Skycloud Expanse. Sunken Hollow. Tranquil Cove. And now we're to our basics. So all the islands, okay, all the islands do look the same. Same with the swamps look the same. And our plains look the same. With the tanks strolling through the field of grain. And we have the big commander, thick card. And then all your foil tokens, which are, again, I'm surprised we didn't get a foil back to these. There definitely should have been more. And then for some of these, they should have given us more of these guys. These tokens as backs as well. I guess it might have been hard. Maybe you're just going to have to use copies, but beautiful new cards. I hope you've been able to get a hold of some. Tell me in the comments what's been your favorite commander deck to pick up or your favorite commander card from these new 40K. I think all these new cards are definitely going to find a home for the most part. There's so much power in a lot of these. If you haven't got a hold of one, hit up your local game store. Hopefully you can. I know the prices have shot up quite a bit. Thank you for joining me, friends. Like, share, subscribe. Always happy to have you here. Just having you here is, I'm so thankful for it. Helps me a lot. Again, I'm hoping to see you guys here soon. Thank you for joining me.